Here we go. Here we go. Here we go on a Tuesday. Welcome into another edition of the Joe Raineri Show, brought to you by WagerTalk.com on this Tuesday. Thank you guys very much for stopping by, hanging out with us here today as we've got breaking news coming across the board all over the place today in the NFL. And looks like the Dallas Cowboys have gone out and gotten themselves a little wide receiver help. And it looks like we've got a very disgruntled member of the secondary in the Arizona Cardinals organization that we'll tell you about. He definitely wants to get the hell out of Dodge before it's too late. So plenty going on here today on the, it was Tuesday? Yeah, I'm sorry. It's Monday. Welcome in. Happy Monday as we try and figure out what it was that happened over the weekend. Vegas got their asses handed to them, that being the bookmakers. Yeah, a lot of favorites yesterday ended up taking home an awful lot of money. So Be very weary this week of the lines because bookmakers are going to try and make their money back. I can promise you this week, setting us all up for failure. But it was at times, a very good, at times, a very bad, and most of the times, a very ugly weekend in the NFL. We'll talk about that coming up. Also, want to tell you, of course, the Miami Acura hotline below us here, 855-983-2255 is how you reach us on the show. That's 855-983-2255. That is the phone number in order to be able to chime in on what is really a pretty crazy Monday here, as we have just learned that the Dallas Cowboys, and let me see if I can, let me make sure I've got my tweets here from Schefter all set up. Here's what we know. We know the Cowboys have traded a first-round pick to the Raiders for Amari Cooper. That has been confirmed. We also know that the Cardinals, Patrick Peterson, the all-pro cornerback, has already asked Arizona to deal him by the end of the month trade deadline. Why? He feels the situation is deteriorating and continues to reaffirm to others that he desperately wants out of that team. He doesn't trust the Cardinals organization anymore. He wants out, doesn't feel that they are in it to win it, and he doesn't want to be starved about that. He doesn't want to be stuck in a situation where he can't get out and he is on a 4, 5, or 6 win team over the next couple of years. So keep an eye on that as we move along to the end of the month and the trade deadline. It is quite apparent that the Dallas Cowboys have realized that, yeah, they screwed up. And not so much just the Dallas Cowboys, but can we be reasonable here? This has got Jerry written all over it. And it's obvious Jerry doesn't blame Jason Garrett for the offensive problems that the Cowboys have. This, to me, reeks of Jerry Jones saying, I didn't do enough to be able to put weapons around Dak Prescott, so I'm going to go ahead and try and make up for it. And this is very reminiscent of what they did for Roy Williams. You guys may remember that, Cowboy fans, about 10 years ago. They coughed up a whole bunch of draft picks in order to get Williams from the Lions. And then, of course, that didn't work out very good. And Jerry eventually went on to say that, yeah, that was one of the worst moves I've ever made. They ended up paying him $54 million and work out well in Dallas. Roy Williams was a total flop. They're hoping Amari Cooper ends out working a little bit better for him, but this just reeks of Jerry going, listen, this is my fault, my bad. Not going to blame Jason Garrett for the fact that we can't throw more than 3 yards out, that Cole Beasley is our best wide receiver, or maybe the fact that our best wide receiver is actually suspended over the next 3 weeks anyway. They can't push the ball downfield. They're now in a position at 3-4 with that loss to the Redskins yesterday. They're not out of it, but they also happen to be they're desperate now. They needed to do something. And if it wasn't bringing Dez back, what were they going to do? Well, they went out and they decided that Amari Cooper is going to be the answer and the savior for Dak Prescott. Now, the interesting thing, a couple of interesting things here, is that Amari Cooper, next year, he'll be under the 5th-year option, which the Cowboys will end up paying him $13 million on that 5th-year option. Now, don't forget, when he was drafted out of Alabama, first couple of years, he was on fire. The last couple of years have been absolutely abysmal for him. But the first couple of years were really, really good in Oakland. And then he got hurt a little bit last year. And then this year, he's already in the concussion protocol once this year. It hasn't been good. He's kind of been all over the map. It's quite apparent that Gruden is just dismantling everything in Oakland right now. But he's got that 5th-year option, which means at some point between now and the end of next year, he's going to be looking to get paid. He's going to be looking for that long-term contract. And by the Dallas Cowboys giving up a first-round draft pick, a first-round draft pick, all right, Reggie McKenzie, general manager of the Raiders, he's been shopping Amari for the last couple of weeks from what we understand. And at most, he was offered maybe a second-round pick, but he kept turning that down. Reggie McKenzie held on to that asking price of a first-round draft pick, and he got Jerry Jones all over it. He ended up getting one, and keep this in mind now for those Raider fans who are pulling their hair out right now, trying to figure out what's going on. John Gruden, if in fact he was given 10 years and $100 million, he wasn't given that to win now. He was given that to win in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, when the team eventually makes the move to Vegas. They're 2 years away from being in Vegas and being set up there. And everything that this franchise is doing from this point on will be about setting this team up and this franchise for the future and for Las Vegas. They don't give a rip about winning now. They don't care about winning next year. The Oakland Raiders are all about making sure that when moving trucks show up, which could be sooner rather than later. Sorry, as I throw up a lung here. They want to make sure when they get off the buses in Vegas that this team is ready to compete, and that's what's going on. That is now over the next 2 years with this number 1 draft pick. They weren't able to keep Khalil Mack, but they didn't have to pay for Khalil Mack, okay? So right there, they don't have $100 and some odd million all tied up in a defensive lineman. They're not going to have to pay Amari Cooper. But the haul that they got back, keep this in mind. The Oakland Raiders have 5 number 1 draft picks over the next 2 years. They control the draft over the next 2 years. And I don't think they're done yet. I think they've got a few more up their sleeve. They're going to be awful. They're going to get another high draft pick. Your guys are looking 5 number 1 draft picks over the next 2 years. Sets this team up for Las Vegas to be one of the youngest. And if they play their cards right, they are going to be in a perfect position to be able to compete in the AFC West and go up against Patrick Mahomes and those Kansas City Chiefs, which don't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon. But Raider fans, the only thing I can tell you is prepare to suck, because you're going to suck over the next couple of years, whether you like it or you don't. But at least what I'm seeing is there's a method behind the madness. They're not just choosing to be cheap bastards and not pay people. The return that they have gotten on Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper, a number 1 pick for Amari Cooper, a first rounder. Are you kidding me? I mean, unheard of. Nobody in their right mind would have thought today that somebody would have given up a first round draft pick for the services of Amari Cooper, who, again, has only got 1 year left, 5th-year option, and then he's going to want to get paid. So not necessarily a lot of people clamoring for that kind of production from a wide receiver who's going to end up asking for a boatload of money in the very near future. But you got Jerry Jones. Thank goodness for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, because of the bullshit moves that they made over last season, and they didn't set themselves up to compete very well in the NFC East. There's your buyer. So congratulations, Reggie McKenzie, John Gruden, the Oakland Raiders organization. You guys got rid of, yes, Khalil Mack, fantastic. But has anybody even talked about Khalil Mack over the last couple of weeks? I mean, it's been 3 weeks now since anybody where Khalil Mack's even played a role, or did the first couple of games. I mean, we heard it. It was Gruden this, and it was Mack this, and Khalil Mack was the next great. He was Lawrence Taylor. We've heard it all. But the problem is, over the last 3 weeks, I haven't heard his name mentioned once. Well, once they were on a bye, but last week against the Dolphins, he ended up getting an ankle injury, didn't hear his name. And then yesterday against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, did you guys hear his name at all? Because I didn't hear squat. I haven't heard about Khalil Mack in 3 weeks. But what I did hear and what I do remember is the fact that the Oakland Raiders got 2 number 1 draft picks for him. So 2 first-round draft picks for him. So now they've got 5 over the next 2 years. And I can tell you right now that the Raiders, everything they do is about getting ready to get off that bus in Las Vegas and be competitive. And you only do that in the NFL. You can't go out and be Pat Riley in the NFL. You can't go out and start buying a whole bunch of stars to come to your team. It doesn't work like that. So the only way that they're going to be able to build this team, and it is a complete teardown, is they've got to suck for the next couple of years, and they had to get or utilize the quality talent that they had before they paid them. They had to go out and get something for them, and they did just that. So 5 first-round draft picks over the next 2 years. They control the draft, guys. They're going to be up there. They're going to be a top 3 pick next year. You can count on it. They're probably going to be a top 3 pick the following year. And that's a lot of draft picks, guys. That's a lot of first-round draft picks. That's a lot of real estate. And a couple of quarterbacks coming out in the next year. I'm not sold that they believe in Derek Carr, where they think Derek Carr is going to be the future there. I am not sure that John Gruden believes that in any way, shape, or form. So I wouldn't at all be surprised if we don't start getting phone calls, or he doesn't start fielding phone calls about Derek Carr coming up soon. Keep an eye on that. This other situation with Patrick Peterson, what is Patrick Peterson worth? If Amari Cooper is worth a first rounder, what are you willing to give up for a shutdown cornerback in Patrick Peterson right now? I can't even imagine what that might actually cost people, but he desperately wants out. He's going to keep trying to push that organization and kind of force himself out of there. He wants to go to a contender. And let's face it, it's quite honest. The Arizona Cardinals, who are they going to win? They're not going to beat anybody. Offense is a mess, although I do like Josh Rosen, but it appears that he's hurt and he's walking in a boot on the sideline thanks to the ineptitude there of the former offensive coordinator, Mike McCoy, who is now out of a job. We'll see what Byron Leftwich can do, but it doesn't look good in Arizona by any stretch of the imagination. So sorry about that. It also doesn't look very good in Jacksonville. They seem to be just imploding as we speak here. The Jacksonville Jaguars, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Keep in mind, Jacksonville is still relatively new as far as franchises go, right? This is not a franchise that's been around the block. It's not the Oakland Raiders. Jacksonville is still relatively new, and they have spent a big portion of their existence being useless. I mean, being terrible. Jacksonville, outside of a couple of years with Tom Coughlin and outside of last year, for the most part, Jacksonville has been atrocious. They haven't been somebody that you would go is, wow, they really have their shit together. No, they don't. And they went yesterday on the road to actually, they were home yesterday finally after having been on the road and got embarrassed by the Dallas Cowboys the week before. They ended up going home and they managed to go scoreless in the first half for the third straight game yesterday, something Jacksonville has never done before. And they've been terrible before, but they've never managed to go like that before, scoreless, even with Blake Bortles. And in an age of high-scoring offenses where teams are averaging 24 points a game, you watch Kansas City last night just destroy Cincinnati. And Cincinnati's a pretty damn good offensive. They got some weapons on Cincinnati, and they couldn't even keep up with what Kansas City is doing. For you to go out and score and get shut out like that in the first, it just can't. You're not going to be able to compete. And for Jacksonville, they brought in Cody Kessler. I don't know what kind of message Doug Marrone was trying to send there. Listen, you put all your eggs in a Blake Bortles basket, and what a shock it's not working. And the reason it's not working is because Jacksonville has lost their identity. Once Leonard Fournette went down and started the year with a hamstring injury, and they couldn't figure out how to get him back, and he hasn't been healthy, this is a totally different team. Not only did they lose their identity on offense when Fournette went down, but somewhere along the line, they got real soft on defense, and now even the defense is starting to question themselves. Reports yesterday of screaming and yelling in the Jacksonville Jaguars locker room after the game does not surprise me. It just does not surprise me. Sooner or later, those guys were going to start to lose it. Blake Bortles was all bent out of shape, and who could blame him because Cody Kessler went in and put points on the board when you couldn't. So things have not been going well for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I don't see, outside of getting Leonard Fournette 100% back next week, I don't know where they're going to go from here. I mean, the defense is starting to point fingers at each other. The offense can't score any points, can't move the ball. Where are you going to go from here? What are the chances of Tom Coughlin, I guess, maybe coming down to the sidelines and starting to coach again? You went with it. You went with Doug Marrone. You went with Blake Bortles. Congratulations. Not sure what to tell you there. Rodney Harrison called him soft, too, last night, which I thought was hysterical during the NBC broadcast. Said that for all of that shit talking that the Jacksonville Jaguars defense has done and all the finger pointing and Jalen Ramsey doing interviews and all of this, man, oh, man, they are getting embarrassed, people. Absolutely embarrassed. And Fournette's not going to be back anytime soon. I mean, he was inactive against the Texans. They do have Carlos Hyde coming, so it'll be Carlos Hyde and TJ Yeldon. They went out and got him, traded for him. But listen, Fournette for Jacksonville, that's their bread and butter. That's what they have become. Run first and allow Blake Bortles to be able to find a couple of open receivers down the field. I think Marquise Lee going down in the preseason was also devastating to the Jacksonville Jaguars because they don't have any wide receivers that scare anybody in the secondary. Zero. You know, you're not going to – they're not worried about you blowing by anybody with D.D. Westbrook, and that's just not going to happen. So I would expect there to be I guess another rumor where Jacksonville holds these team meetings, you know, and they try to work things out. Those of you that took Jacksonville because everybody and their mother told you how this was the perfect spot for them to finally get right, you know, at home, laying 3.5 points against a Houston team that, yes, they had won 3 in a row, but let's all face it, when you dove into the numbers, the Houston Texans are not a great football team and have been winning games by the skin of their teeth. So going up against a Jacksonville team at home with that defense, you want to talk about overhyping a defense that has not been what everybody has said they have been, not for a while, not since the Jet game, not for 3 weeks. That defense has not shown up. And yes, the offense hasn't been great, but that defense, Rodney Harrison was correct last night. That defense is getting exploited, to say the least. And it's not good there. And maybe the biggest winner of them all yesterday, I thought, were the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were the only ones who were able to actually sit home, not play a game, and yet manage to somehow end up in first place yesterday, which is priceless because you had Baltimore lost, Cleveland lost, Cincinnati lost. All three of those guys lost. Pittsburgh didn't play, but Pittsburgh somehow at 3-2-1 finds themselves in first place right now because they just got to sit back and watch the rest of the AFC North get bulldozed. And bulldozed they did, too. I felt terrible for the Baltimore Ravens yesterday. That poor Justin Tucker, man. Never seen that face like that ever. He just looked like he saw a ghost. He didn't know what to do with himself there, which was unfortunate. Your guy makes 222 extra points and then all of a sudden misses one to tie the game. And I know for a fact, if you or anybody you know had the Baltimore Ravens yesterday, I think the Ravens had gone off 2, maybe 2.5 is what the game had gone on as favorites as home. And you kind of knew, even at halftime, you kind of knew that it was just going to be a matter of time before Drew Brees and Sean Payton were able to put it together and be able to start moving the ball and getting some points on that defense. That defense has been second to none this year, certainly in the second half. They've only managed, 2 touchdowns, I think, that defense. They have been just shut down. The problem is, when you looked into it, they haven't played anybody. The offenses that Baltimore has gone up against certainly haven't been, they didn't play the Rams in Kansas City. This was the best offense that they had faced thus far this year, and they did a pretty damn good job of holding it, but it was just a matter of time before New Orleans was going to be able to put some points on the board. The fact that they came back and were only an extra point away from tying that thing up and then going into overtime, I know those that were holding Ravens tickets were going, okay, field goal. We still got a chance to win this at home. It kind of favors you being at home there. Baltimore defense had done a pretty good job there late in the game on making that final stop and getting the ball back from New Orleans. But, man, Justin Tucker, 222. I mean, if there has ever been anything automatic in the NFL, it has been the extra points and the field goals from Justin Tucker. But not yesterday, and yesterday was just an atrocious day for special teams all across the NFL. I'm telling you right now, let your kids play football. Forget about quarterback. Forget about anything else. Teach your kids how to kick, because if they can actually go out and make 33-yard extra points on a consistent basis, they'll make millions upon millions of dollars in the NFL. And nobody will throw parades for you if you can points, because we're looking at teams right now that they're opting not to kick field goals. They're opting to go on it on 4th and 3, 4th and 4, as opposed to trying to be what used to be automatic across the NFL in a lot of situations where 3 points was just almost a given. Not anymore. The kickers in this league are atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. I'm watching that 49er Rams game. What was it? 2 block punts, a missed extra point. It was like the special teams has just been terrible in the NFL, and it certainly was on display yesterday. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you ever want to know what not to do, just go ahead and rewind the tape on that Cleveland Browns Tampa Bay Bucks game yesterday. That was some rough football. Nothing pretty about any of that yesterday. It was really, really, really hard to digest watching that game. It was just a laugher going, here we go again. Cleveland's in its 4th overtime game this year. 4 overtime games through, 7 weeks? Crazy. And the fact that the guy missed a 40-yard field goal to win it and then hits a 59-yarder in overtime to do it. It's just that's football for you in a nutshell. It's just absolutely, it's crazy. It's head-scratching. It makes you just go, come on. I know bookmakers yesterday, I had told you, they lost their shorts with the amount of favorites that ended up winning. Thank goodness the unders finally took over yesterday in a lot of those games, and the bookmakers were able to make some of that money back. But a lot of favorites covered yesterday. Not really good. Not a lot of public favorites, a lot of public money ended up getting doled out yesterday, and the bookmakers were not happy about it. And I can tell you it reflects in a few of the early lines that we're looking at for next week. We're going to go over those for you coming up. There is a Monday night game tonight. We're going to give you the latest from Vegas. We'll give you the odds. We'll let you know what's going on with the movement right now. Who do you like? Atlanta is at home taking on the Giants. We'll give you the trends you need to know. We'll do all of that as soon as we come back. But we do, as you guys know, have to thank some of our sponsors here: Low Cost Airlines, Superior Cruise and Travel, and of course our good friends at Miami Acura. They make all of this happen. So make sure, guys, Miami Acura, make sure that you give them a buzz at 855-564-4669. Take that car for that brand new 2019 RDX for a test drive. I promise you, you will be glad that you did. That's right. It's the brand new, all new, redesigned 2019 RDX, only at Miami Acura. Call them today. Get yourself an appointment set up, 855-564-4669. And when we come back, we'll give you the latest from Vegas, tell you who's going to win tonight's Giants-Atlanta Falcons game. We'll do that coming up next.
800-663-5107. 800-663-5107. That's 800-663-5107.
Prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-761-1427. 800-761-1427. That's 800-761-1427.
Hi, my name is Lily. My mom and dad used to fight about money all the time. Then one day, I heard them talking about this guy, some uncle I never knew, called Sam. Well, they say this Uncle Sam guy wanted them to pay him like $1 gazillion, and they didn't have $1 gazillion. So they called this company they heard on the radio called the Tax Doctor. And the Tax Doctor worked with Uncle Sam's people. I think they're called the IRS. And they were able to work it out so my mom and dad didn't have to pay Uncle Sam very much money at all. So now mom and dad are happy, and I'm happy too. Tax Doctor?
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state, call now and pay less. 800-663-5107. 800-663-5107. That's 800-663-5107.
Where do you want to go on a vacation or honeymoon? The Caribbean, Europe, Hawaii, Mexico? How about Disney or a cruise? At Superior Cruise and Travel, we've got you covered. We'll assign you your own travel concierge. They'll help you design a custom vacation plan that you can't find online. And the service is completely free. You can't compare the value of this to any other online travel company. We can help you plan a custom vacation anywhere in the world. We even offer payment plans with no credit card required. Now you pay off your vacation on your time schedule. Call now and mention the promo code RADIO and save up to $500. Book your custom trip. Call Superior Cruise and Travel now and talk to one of the highest rated travel agencies in the country with a 5-star A+ online rating.
800-901-5536. 800-901-5536. 800-901-5536. That's 800-901-5536.
Welcome back in, guys. Happy Monday once again to you. It's the Joe Raineri Show, brought to you by WagerTalk.com. There is no better place for you to go to get all the free information you need to make those intelligent wagering decisions. That's right. Knowledge is power. We tell you about that all the time. The more knowledge you have, the more power you have to make actually the smart decisions when it comes to wagering. And there is no better information available to you than at wagertalk.com. Not to mention, you've got over a dozen of the best, the brightest, the greatest professional sports handicappers in the world are at your fingertips, available to you at wagertalk.com. Make sure that you guys head over there today. That's wagertalk.com. I see Big Bear joining us via the chat room here today. Yo, Vari, I know you're Oakland Raiders. Vari is, for you guys that are just joining us, Vari is a diehard Oakland Raiders fan. He hangs out with us. It doesn't make a difference what we're talking. He'll be over the top, brother, when it comes to Raider talk. And I know he's got to be a little bit excited about the Oakland Raiders getting rid of not only Khalil Mack and getting back a couple of first-rounders there, but now they've managed to get rid of Amari Cooper and also get yourself back another first-rounder. And what is this? Oh, look at that. Con Dracula is joining us over here. Yes, we definitely want to hear a joke. Go ahead. This should be fun. Let's see how this goes over here. Let's hear it, man. Joining us via Twitch, by the way. So I love the way you spell, man. I love that, Con Dracula 77. That's actually impressive. Go ahead. Let's hear it. Come on, man. We're all waiting. You got all our attention here now in the Twitch chat room. Come on, Twitch. By the way, those of you just joining us, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, you name it, you've got us here at Joe Raineri Show. You guys know where it is. Want to welcome them in. Vari, I am happy for your Oakland Raiders, although it is a little depressing right now for those of you that are just joining us and you haven't heard. The Oakland Raiders have, in fact, gone ahead and traded Amari Cooper to the Dallas Cowboys for Amari Cooper. And count them. 1, 2, 3. That is 5. When I tell you 5 first-round draft picks now over the next 2 years for the Oakland Raiders. They are going to be in the position of all positions for this upcoming draft. They are going to own it with 5 first-round draft picks. Gruden and McKenzie, although it may not seem like it's very smart what they're doing right now, it is very, very smart what they're doing right now. They are going to own the draft. They are going to be able to go out and get the kind of help that they want. They are going to go out and build a whole bunch of young guys, young, talented guys. They're going to go out and put exactly the team they want together in order to be able to sell tickets in Las Vegas. And don't forget, they're 2 years away from heading over to Vegas, and really that's all that matters here, guys. They want to impress when they get off the bus in Las Vegas. Then once that team moves there, that is all that matters. They can't go in there all locked up with a whole lot of money wrapped up in a wide receiver like Amari Cooper or a defensive lineman like Khalil Mack. 5 first-round draft picks. That's gonna put this team in a position to be successful over the next couple of years and sell an awful lot of licensing seats there in Las Vegas. It's coming. All right, now Come Dracula's got a joke here. What is it now? What do you get when you? Let's see. What do you get when you? Hold on. Let me make sure I got this right here. That I can see this here. What do you get? All right, let's put it over there. What do you get when you got a bunch of Dale Earnhardt fans together? I can't wait for this. Come on, man. Bring it over. Come on. I'm waiting for it. What do you get when you got a bunch of Dale Earnhardt fans together? This should be fun. I can't. What's that? What are you thinking? Yeah, should be very. I can't wait to hear what he's going to say there. I'm waiting for Ergun Dracula joining us via Twitch, and thank you guys very much, by the way, for taking your time out and joining us. Yes, see, there we go. There we go. A full set of teeth. That is impressive, man. I got to tell you, Ergun Dracula, fantastic, man. You got carte blanche here on the show anytime. You're pulling out a Dale Earnhardt full set of teeth joke. I got to love that, man. That is fantastic. And I'm assuming you meant junior, right? Yeah, because that wouldn't make any sense then if it was actually senior. But welcome in, Dracula77. Appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us here on Twitch. All right, tonight you got a game. What are we looking at? We are looking at the New York Giants taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Spread currently 3.5 for the Falcons. The over-under is 53. And most of the action has been on the Falcons early on in the week. That hasn't changed. And I do believe as of about an hour ago, the Giants only getting about 33% of the spread tickets, which means you got 76% of the public loves the Atlanta Falcons in this position. Matt Ryan dominates in prime time, 19-9 against the spread. He is the second most profitable quarterback in that position for bettors since 2008. He's also 12-4 against the spread at home in prime time, which is where they are. Tonight. Eli Manning He's been listed as an underdog for 13 consecutive games, if you guys can believe that. 13 consecutive games, including last Monday night. No other quarterback has been listed as an underdog more than 10 times over that span, including guys like Blake Bortles. But yes, Eli Manning, not very good. Also, a side note, tonight's matchup. Tony Corrente is the head official for tonight's game. Why is that important? The under. 90-68, 57% in games he officiates. The over-under is 53, 90-68, a 57% clip. He is the most profitable referee to the under since 2003. All right, so Tony Corrente is the ref tonight. Penalties, I'm assuming, are the reason why it is that we are going to get nothing but why the unders are so profitable with him, because him and his crew usually throw a flag every other play. The games take 19 hours, and usually there is no rhythm or ability to be able to get into a rhythm for offenses. So keep that in mind here tonight. The bet to watch, as far as I'm concerned, is the Falcons 3.5. And I know for you contrarians, you have a hard time. I know you do. You guys have a hard time going with the public. You think the money's to be made and the value is on the Giants. And yes, there's definitely some value on the Giants tonight at 3.5. We always key on those numbers, 3 and 7. We talk about that all the time. When you can get 3.5, with the kind of weapons that the Giants have and the lack of defense that Atlanta has, there is some value with the Giants tonight. I just don't see it. The truth is the Falcons' pass defense has been atrocious this year, okay? But 3 of the 4 losses that Atlanta has only been by 1 score. They've only lost by 1 score. It's not like they're getting blown out. They've also scored at least 36 points in 2 of those losses. So I think Atlanta certainly has the weapons in order to be able to make it 2 wins at home in a row. The Giants' defense is equally terrible as far as that goes, certainly against the pass. I don't think they're nearly as good as Atlanta is on offense. I think Atlanta can go up and throw 40 points with the best of them. I'm not sure Eli Manning's arm has got 40 points in it. And here's another interesting measuring tool that we use when we combine teams that usually suck as bad as these two do. And neither one of them are very good right now. And it's kind of a shame because the Falcons have, with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and Coleman, the weapons that they have, Hooper at tight end, the weapons they have, they should be better than they are, but they haven't been able to overcome the injuries on the defensive side of the ball, which is what Atlanta's problem is. But one of the tools that we use and we look at when you have teams who aren't very good and you're trying to figure out who sucks less, the Falcons lost to the Eagles by 6 points. The Giants lost to the Eagles by 21 points. The Falcons beat the Panthers by 7. The Giants lost by 2. So the Falcons lost to the Saints by 6, and the Giants lost by 15. There is a 33-point differential in favor of the Falcons against common opponents with the Giants. So sometimes the best way to decipher who sucks less is to look at those common opponents and go, all right, well, how did they fare and how did the Giants fare? And when you look at it, there is no comparison. The Falcons against similar opponents, 33-point differential. The Falcons have way better offense. Yes, their defense sucks, but so does the Giants. And if we're going to be point for point in the Dome, home in Atlanta, I will bet on Julio Jones and Matt Ryan over Eli and Odell Beckham Jr. any day of the week. I think the Falcons can cover easy here. 53 points for the over-under, keeping in mind that Tony Corrente just loves making sure that nobody gets into a rhythm. The unders have been actually pretty good this weekend, so it wouldn't surprise me if we are looking at maybe a 23-17 game here tonight, and they'll be able to keep it under 50 for that matter, but the spread is 53. But I definitely like the Falcons laying the 3.5 points for sure. Both of these defenses are terrible. They need, they do. They absolutely do. They need the water boy on anybody. Well, both of those teams need that. Absolutely. They both do that. Welcome in, too, for those of you guys just joining us. I want to thank Mr. Dracula77 here on Twitch for hanging out with us at Joe Raineri Show. Also on Twitter, on Periscope, on Facebook, on YouTube. We are streaming live to you across all the platforms. You can see it there scrolling at the bottom. It was a rough week for a couple of teams, and it's certainly a couple of bettors. And it started Saturday. Can we all be realistic Saturday? How many of you had Ohio State losing to Purdue? Yeah. Ohio State is no longer going to be they don't deserve to be in the playoffs. They shouldn't be anywhere near the playoffs. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy in Urban Meyer, but at least now we don't have to hear about Ohio State anymore and how good their team is, because now Ohio State they'll be playing in the I Don't Give a Shit Bowl, and I could not be happier for Ohio State and their fans. Michigan does, in fact, control their own destiny right now in college. Michigan beats Michigan State at home. The Wolverines, boy, I tell you, it wasn't a pretty win, but it works. And Michigan State had a total of 94 yards in that game. Think about that. 94 yards. So Michigan State didn't deserve to be in that game. But now, listen, Harbaugh, this has got the makings of a playoff team. Michigan could very well be a playoff team right now. The defense is unbelievably good. They're starting to put it together on offense. Shea Magic plays his role inside that system very well. Harbaugh's finally got some guys on the team that are playing Harbaugh type offense and type football. The ground game does just enough to be able to be effective for the Michigan Wolverines. The only loss is to undefeated Notre Dame. That doesn't look nearly as bad as a loss to Purdue is. So it is going to come down to Michigan, Ohio State. That game in a couple of weeks is going to be crazy. It's going to be I can promise you Ohio State, that's going to be Ohio State's national championship game right there. Jism Onions, man, we got the names here are fantastic today. We got, is it Mr. Jizam Onions or is it just Jism Onions? I'm kind of curious on how to pronounce that name. That's nice. Mr. Onions, welcome in there on YouTube. But that's going to be Ohio State's national championship game. Playing Michigan, having the opportunity to bounce Michigan out of the playoff picture would make their season. And let's face it, Harbaugh hasn't done very good against Urban Meyer since he's gotten back to Michigan. That's going to be one hell of a game. But really, it's Alabama, Clemson, and everybody else. I mean, Alabama has a quarterback can't make it into the fourth quarter because they're bringing teams out beyond 13-1, I believe. What was the statistic? There was some ridiculous statistic going around about playing Alabama in the first half versus the second half. If you played Alabama all year long over the number in the first half, Alabama has covered the over every first half this year. They have also not covered one over in the second half. So if you bet with Alabama in the first half, then you have won a lot of money this year. And if you have gone against them in the second half, Yeah, you've also won a lot of money. And the reason is Alabama wants to put their, they want to step on your throat. They want to crush you in the first half. And then they put in all the reserves and the underclassmen in the second half. And they kind of coast to victory. And they don't threaten hurting anybody or anything along those lines. But from a betting standpoint, you've made a lot of money this year if you've taken Alabama and the over in the first half and bet against them, taking the under in the second. They don't cover in the second half, but you bet your ass they cover in the first half. They've been able to make a ton of bettors money this year just playing halves, just playing the halves of football. So crazy stuff there. Mr. Onions, yes, good to see you there, Mr. Onions, on YouTube Live there. Phone number 855-983-2255. That is how you reach us. But in the college game, that's what we're looking at. Clemson, I don't know who do you get out of the Pac-12. Washington State? Is that what we're looking at? I mean, I'd love to see Mike Leach in a playoff because nobody holds interviews like Mike Leach does. But Washington State, listen, congratulations. Washington State's only a one-loss team in the Pac-12. Everyone else seems to just beat the living crap out of each other. USC is not good. Stanford is not good. Washington is not good. So here we go. We're back to that situation now where how many are we going to have? 2 SEC teams? Are we looking at LSU and Alabama again in a playoff? Or who's good enough to come out of the ACC besides Clemson? Where the hell else are you getting? So you got to hope that Michigan ends up beating Ohio State and they lock up the Big Ten picture and we can get a team from the Big Ten in the playoff. Because otherwise, if Ohio State beats Michigan, then Ohio State's back in the, whether we like it or we don't like it, Ohio State's going to be back in the playoff picture and in the conversation. Because outside of Mike Leach and Washington State in the Pac-12, I mean, Oklahoma, but even Oklahoma finally figured out that they can play defense, beating up on TCU over the weekend. But Texas, can Texas really hang with Clemson and Alabama? I don't know. I don't know that Tom Herman's team in Texas, after that awful first game loss against Maryland, I'm not sure that they have the horses to be able to compete with Clemson and the likes of Alabama or even in the Big Ten. But we are definitely going to find that out. Who else? Now who we got in the chat room here? Yes, Mr. Dracula. Did you see Mr. Onions? Do you like blueberry sloppy? Oh boy, looks we got a Nigerian in here somewhere. What is sloppy? Talk to me, sloppy. And what do we got? Heesil. You guys with these names, I love this. Heesil 77. This is always fun when you can get these guys in here. We got Mr. Jism Onions, Mr. Dracula 77, and we got a Heesil 77. And not one of you can spell, because onions, by the way, is not spelled correctly. I'm just going to throw that out there for you. But that's all right. We appreciate you guys stopping by and hanging out with us anyway here. 855-983-2255. That is how you talk to us. Personally, I'd just like to see Alabama and Clemson play, because there's really, who else? Nobody else can compete with those guys. I mean, there's Clemson, there's Alabama, and then there's 5 or 6 teams, and then there's everyone else. So once again, it's going to be, what are we looking at? How many years is this? This would be fourth. Yeah, Alabama, Clemson for the 4th year. It's getting to the point where, okay, congratulations. And Alabama is going to have Tua for another 2 years. So Alabama and Clemson are going to be in your national championship game, guys. Hope you don't mind, because it's a coming. It's a coming. How many of you guys watch any of the NBA over the first week there? You got a little fight going on. Did you guys enjoy the fight between LeBron James? Well, actually, not LeBron James. Between the Lakers and Houston, you had Chris Paul going up against Rondo, throwing a couple of bitch slaps back and forth. Did you guys enjoy that? Yeah, I thought the most interesting part about that to me was the fact that instead of grabbing his own teammate, LeBron grabbed Chris Paul, tried to get him out of it, which I thought was it. Didn't try and help Rondo, tried to help Chris Paul. I'm wondering because he's best friends with Chris Paul. We all know this. I'm just wondering what it would have been like if that was on the street. Like, who would have LeBron backed in a street fight there? Would he have gotten Rondo's back in a street fight, or would he have sided with Chris Paul, his buddy, his best friend, the guy who goes on banana boat trips here to the Bahamas and everything else? I'm just curious. I'm asking because, to me, It looked like LeBron was more interested in making sure that Chris Paul was okay than his own teammate in Rajon Rondo. But I could be mistaken. But that'll be very interesting to watch moving forward. The NBA was fun. I think we've learned a few things in the NBA. I think the 3-point shot is certainly alive and well. I think we can all agree, right? Points come at a premium here. That we're going to get a lot of points in the NBA this year, whether we want to admit it or not. The 3-point shot has pretty much taken over the game. It's what puts asses in seats. And, we've got a offense, I believe, in the first week, 113 points a game. That means there's no defense. That's a full 7 points higher than it was last year. And it's also the highest since 1969-1970 when teams were scoring $116 a night. But then back then, they didn't really play defense either. So keep that in mind. Teams are now dropping 130 points at ease. You're looking at overs and unders, 220, 225, 230, 235 a night, which means that neither team is playing defense. They're simply just chucking the ball up and hoping it goes in from three. Shoots basketball for you. Very nice, Mr. Onions. Very, very nice. Teams are also playing very good. The pace is very fast, which makes it very fun. If you're going to spend $500 a ticket to go see an NBA game, at least they are moving quickly. It's not that slow, grinded out. 89-86, the Detroit Pistons win. Yeah, no, you ain't got that anymore. These teams are flying up and down the court. Houston, the Lakers, OKC are a combined 1-7, so they haven't exactly started off the season ripping it up, and Houston's only win came against the Lakers. Keep that in mind. Trae Young, been the best rookie by far. He leads all rookies in scoring, 23 points. He's 45? Yeah, he's 45% from the field, not bad. 8.3 assists. This kid is he's going to light up the NBA. Get ready for it. Trae Young, keep an eye on him. And the Pelicans have one of the best offenses in the league. 140 points a night is what they are averaging. Can you believe that? 140 points a night. It's crazy. Yes, crazy, crazy, crazy. In the East, the Miami Heat, my poor Miami Heat, are exactly what we thought they would be, a lower tier, bottom feeding 6, 7, or 8 seed in the East. Not very impressive, but we got a long way to go. They got to figure it out. They got to get healthier, but they seem very one-dimensional right now. But the East is the East. There's going to be Boston, Toronto, and maybe Philadelphia, and then there's going to be everyone else. Maybe Milwaukee can shock people, but the Miami Heat, unfortunately, not good. The only undefeated teams in the East right now, Toronto and Detroit. I wouldn't say Toronto's a surprise there. Maybe Detroit is a little bit, but certainly not. I wouldn't expect the Pistons to continue to start their undefeated season there. They're off to a good start. Congratulations. They were off to a good start last year, and look what happened to them. But the Knicks, Brooklyn, Phoenix, Sacramento, Atlanta, Cleveland, Chicago, Orlando, all suck so far throughout the season, but have been a lot of fun to watch. And maybe I think that is the biggest takeaway in the first week of the NBA season, is that if you like scoring, if you like fast-paced games, if you like punching matches and bitch slap fights, if you like as little defense as humanly possible, then the NBA is going to be for you this year. Because when you have teams like the Pelicans averaging 140 points a night, and that the league average is a full 7 points higher than it was last year at this time, it's only going to get better. There's going to be some points scored. This could definitely be an NBA year that you will enjoy, and of course, get ready for it, because ultimately it's going to come down to two teams. It's we know Golden State's going to be there, and then it's really just if Golden State can stay healthy, because they don't have anybody on the bench. But outside of that, the real question is who's coming out of the East. Is it going to be Boston? Is it going to be Toronto? Is it going to be Philadelphia? Or is there a dark horse in the Milwaukee Bucks? Can they shock the world? Yeah, no, they can't. It's going to be Boston. It's going to be Boston taking on Golden State. That's going to be your finals. And Cleveland is not going to be there again, so at least there's that. But we at least have one more year of the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry and KD and what's it, Shrek? What's his name? Yeah, Draymond Green. That's him. Yeah, Draymond Green. So there's always that, guys. The NBA is in full swing. The NHL is about 7 or 8 games in there. The two teams that are fun to watch there is check out all the youth on the Edmonton Oilers with Connor McDavid and crew, and make sure you check out the Toronto Maple Leafs because they seem like they're only going to lose 8 games all year long. And that about does it. Tonight, baseball too, right? Oh, when's the World Series start? Tomorrow? Tomorrow starts? Yeah, tomorrow. Tonight we got the NFL Falcons 3.5 tonight. Make sure you lay it. And if you're just joining us, if you missed it, it's the numbers do not lie, people. 3.5, and he has been one of the most profitable quarterbacks prime time in the history of the game. Matt Ryan, that's the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, for those of you who don't know. Including Mr. Blumpkin over here, Mr. Onions over there on the on YouTube. 12-4 against the spread at home in prime time. He's also covered the last 5 when he's had this situation on this stage. And the Giants 1-5 straight up, 2-4 against the spread this year. They are getting 33% of the spread bets right now, which means the public and everyone else loves the Atlanta Falcons as well. They should. And Tony Corrente, once again, head official tonight. Tony Corrente is the most profitable referee to bet the under on in all of the NFL since 2003. Just throwing it out there because he's going to be throwing that flag all night long. Take the under, 53, and take the 3.5 points, lay it, and then cash the ticket, and we'll come back tomorrow and we'll talk all about it. For those of you on social media that are joining us, Mr. Blumpkin there, Mr. Onions, and where was my other good friend there? Mr. Dracula, want to appreciate you guys. Jeremy, always a good time seeing you. Vari, always a pleasure seeing you, brother. Again, if you're just joining us here, the big news today, Cowboys trade first-round pick to the Raiders, and they get Amari Cooper. So Amari Cooper will be catching passes, or at least trying to catch passes, from Dak Prescott moving forward. Jerry Jones pulled the trigger, gave up a first-round pick. What does it mean for the Raiders? It means the Raiders now have 5 first-round draft picks over the next 2 years. That is how you rebuild a franchise, folks. You can't do it by going out getting free agents. The only way you can do it is by the draft. And when you have 5 first-round draft picks over the next couple of years, you give yourself a lot of opportunities to be able to build a team heading into Las Vegas. So that about does it for us here today. Want to thank you guys very much for stopping by, hanging out with us. Don't forget, head over to wagertalk.com. Check out what they see. All sorts of free picks, free information there. Knowledge is power. See what they say about the game tonight. The Atlanta Falcons taking on the New York Giants. Not to mention World Series, Dodgers, Red Sox, who you got. Plenty of information there. And you've got, like I said, a dozen or so of the best handicappers from around the country, all at your fingertips at wagertalk.com. So make sure you guys get over there and check it out, and then come back. Blumpkin and Mr. Jazz Hands over there, and the rest of you come back and join us tomorrow, 4 o'clock. We get to do it all over again. You guys rock. Thank you very much for stopping by, hanging out with us. We'll do this again tomorrow. Have a great night.